Hi, this is Ruth Theresa with One Inspiring Woman, and today we're talking about Jupiter in the sign of Aries. And this is really going to get us to think about things a lot differently than we have in the past, and I guarantee this is going to be a great connection. Now, it's been in Aries for a little bit, but this is kind of like a reminder. We're still in Aries, we're still moving forward, and this right now, I kind of feel like the second part of this Jupiter in the sign of Aries is going to be bringing up some new decisions for us to make. So kind of Jupiter is the planet of expansion, experiences, knowledge, and understanding. And that really kind of sets us on a path of growth, generosity, and abundance. And I guarantee you that while in Capricorn, Jupiter urged us to kind of define our goals, seek out like tangible things like I've done this goal, I've gotten this goal, I've done this on my bucket list, I've done that on my bucket list, kind of like the regular stuff, kind of like being very linear with it. And a step-by-step approach is the best way to put it. And now Jupiter is in the sign of Aries, and it gives us a time to really kind of be aware of what our spiritual growth is all about, kind of that personal courage. What do we want to change? And I will tell you that what I've seen a lot is already a lot of people kind of stepping out and starting their own business. Even if it's just like, I'm not sure what I want to do, I want to open my business, and they'll go and get their DBA and they'll start their LLC or whatever it is. So I'm seeing that more and more of people just like, yes, this is what I'm going to do. And it's really kind of taking advantage of our opportunities that are coming at us. And with Jupiter in this fire sign, it kind of gives us our own opinion and our own beliefs. And that can really kind of set that whole I want my business, because my business is going to be different from their business. I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to do it differently. I'm going to do it this way. And that's kind of a great way to do it. But I also will tell you that this really hits a lot of people kind of in this spiritual growth, because both Aries and Jupiter talk about like their deeper understanding, their knowledge, their power. And it's really kind of setting that energy on fire, kind of like, what can we change? Where can we go? Jupiter in Aries teaches us more about embracing our own confidence, our kind of like our outgoing spirit, kind of like, where do we want to be? Our like our ego. I want to be brave and I want to be strong and I want to change these things. We can also really attract good fortune with this, and kind of leading to kind of like being strong enough. If you never step out on your own, you're never going to know what you're going to accomplish on your own. And I think that's kind of one of those like, wow, being prosperous in areas that we didn't think we could be is so empowering. And a lot of times, like I said, people are starting their own business. They're starting their own kind of like self-awareness, kind of like, I really want to be, I want to know what my abilities are. I want to know what religion is, and asking some really hard questions of religion right now. Not necessarily, going to the Pope or whatever else, but it's kind of like that inner part. What does it mean to me to be this? What does it mean to me to be this religion or whatever it is? And really thinking about that really long and hard. Kind of our best way to do it is kind of acting independently. So many times, like people are wanting to be different from everybody else, but they want to be the same at the same time. So it's kind of like one of those like, what? You want to do both? But with Jupiter in the sign of Aries, people are like, I really do want to be different. I don't want to be just one of the regular people. I want to do my own thing. And that can be a very interesting, like, okay, this is interesting. I do want to step out on my own. I don't want to do the same thing as everybody else. I want to set my own pace. I want to set my own life and kind of set my own adventures. And I think that really starts with kind of like opportunities of like new enterprises, your new business, kind of your new questioning of yourself. Like, am I going to be happy where I'm at right now in 5 years from today? And if the answer is no, get busy. That was one of those hardest questions I ever answered in my life, because someone asked me that, like, if you never start your business, if you were here doing the same thing in 5 years, would you still be happy? And I was like, no way in heck would I be happy with any of this. So I just was like, okay, let's make some changes. And little change after little change after little change really got me to think about things like, yes, I do want to make these changes. And kind of like our faith is kind of that inside. And a lot of times it's been taught to us by other people. And now it's our opportunity to kind of like open up to that. It doesn't mean getting rid of anything. It doesn't mean you're not going to be religious or anymore. It's one of those like, what does it mean to me to be this? What does it mean to me deep down inside? What does it mean to me to go to church every Sunday or go every Wednesday or whatever it is? Like, what are those decisions that means to me? How does this change me? And having that personal relationship with your creator is amazing. And I'm seeing more and more people really desiring that connection. I will tell you that kind of a lot of times brings in that pioneering spirit of like live in the now, not always living for the future. Because so many times people are like, let me work at this job for 50 years that I hate, and then I'll do something fun. Really? Do something fun now, or change your job into something that you really love. And it may take you a while to make some changes, but it's not going to take you 50 years to make a change. Do something you absolutely love. Do something you love, and it makes it so much easier and usually more fun, more abundance comes into you. I will tell you that I prefer that people that are really direct or honest with me, more than polite or kind of like, kind of dancing around the truth or whatever else. Like, if you don't like something, tell me so I can make a change, or I can decide for myself if I want to make that change. And that's kind of one of those things that I've seen more and more is like people really wanting to hear the truth, where before it's kind of like, I really want you to lie to me. I want you to tell me that this looks good, or I'm doing the right thing. So this is kind of coming in with that amazing change for things. I will tell you that kind of there can be too much Jupiter in the sign of Aries, and kind of the guard is like, what are the changes? Kind of what are the changes that you're making for yourself? Can you kind of make more changes? And it's one of those, be happy with the change you're making today, and then always be looking for that next opportunity. It doesn't mean like you need to be on the lookout 24 hours, 365, kind of like, let me change. It's kind of like, where's that next step for me, that natural progression and what I need to be doing? And always one eye on that and one eye on where you're at, and be happy with what's going on around you. I think that's really important. In Aries, it can be can push us to be a little impatient, kind of like too focused on what we're doing. If it's kind of like too harsh, it can also manifest a lot of negativity, because if you're expecting everything to happen like right here, right now, in the next 10 seconds, and it doesn't, then we may get a little negative, or kind of like it's not working and all that kind of stuff. You have to give it time. You have to get those decisions out there and kind of like, this is what I'm really looking for. This is what I really desire in my life, and keep moving forward. Keeping your attitude on what's coming up next, on the here and now, but kind of always that one eye towards what's coming up next can be very, very powerful. Jupiter has a minor semi-square with Uranus in May and in September. And it's one of those, like, that's kind of some amazing energies that are coming in. And we're going to talk about that in just a little bit. But I was like, this planet is really kind of pushing us to choose to make things a little bit more freedom bound, kind of like freedom for ourselves. It can also bring us like interested in making some new choices, making some new decisions for ourselves. And really, Jupiter in the sign of Aries is going to make us feel self-confidence. You're going to see that kind of like, I want to be my own individual. I don't want to be part of the herd anymore. I don't want to be part of the group anymore. I want to make some changes. Let's face it, no one really wants to be the total person, like constantly in there with everybody else, because then you never get a chance to stand out. And it can be scary to stand out, but it can also be very empowering to do so. One of the next things to talk about is really kind of putting Jupiter in the sign of Aries to work for us. And one of the ways to do that is kind of keeping our vibrations really, really high, and really being ready to express our Jupiter aspects to things, kind of like that expansion, that growth, kind of like, where could I be if I did this? Where could I be tomorrow? Where could I be next week? Where could I be next month? This is going to be pushing a bigger picture idea on a lot of people of kind of like, where do I want to go with this? And not just kind of like, I want to be like everybody else. I want to have my own thing as well. This is going to be coming in very strong for most people of where are we going to be making those changes, what's coming in next. And I guarantee you, Jupiter in the sign of Aries is going to bring in a huge prosperity. We have our planet of luck kind of like in this very fiery energy. So we're going to be kind of like, that luck is going to be on fire is the best way to put it, and kind of wanting to thrive and expand and improve ourselves, and really going into spiritual growth, which is where I really feel a lot of people are going to be going into, is that spiritual growth side. And that could also bring in a lot of prosperity. What is it that we want to prosper in? How do we want to prosper? That's really important. So many times people are like, I don't know what I want. I don't know what I want. Then get clear. Kind of what is that message to you? What are you really getting clear about? Like, what is the message for you? What do you want to bring into you? That can be a very powerful question of like, I never thought of it this way. This can be a great one. I will tell you, it's time to kind of detach from like what everybody else thinks you need to be doing and really attach to what you think you need to be doing. Think about like your belief system, your principles is very important, kind of like your ethics. Sometimes people will go, oh, don't have to worry about that. And you're like, no, it means something. Then make that change. If that changes inside of you, it's going to make a difference, because it's going to, this aspect also makes a lot of personal courage changes for us, kind of like pushing us to courage out on our own, kind of like not just following the herd of what everybody else wants us to do. What do we want to do ourselves? And during this transit, we're going to be displaying kind of like embracing that side, that personal touch for us, and kind of helping us expand our personal insight into what's going on. This is an excellent cycle for us to require making a clean break from our past. And you're going to see that with a lot of people wanting to break soul contracts. Look into soul contracts, look at their past lives in a lot of ways. I've already seen an uptick of people wanting to do past life regressions, going to see the Akashic records, or clearing out soul contracts. So I've seen this a lot in a lot of people. People that I thought like, oh, I never thought she'd be interested in that. Yeah, I'm seeing it. So kind of like cutting away from the past, kind of letting that go, and also inner questioning. Like a lot of religions don't believe in past lives. So now you want to ask about a past life. It's like, I didn't think that was part of your religion. So they're kind of rethinking for themselves. And that's where I think it's kind of like a brilliant idea for us to kind of rethink those decisions that we've always been like, that's the way the life is, and that's the way we want it to be. What are the changes and the upgrades in this area? This can also bring up some uncomfortable energy with not being as clear with what we want, and kind of like vagueness in where we want to go. This can also kind of like bring up, like if we're kind of giving up too much for other people, then maybe that's not a good relationship for us to be in right now. And maybe that's time, not necessarily to kill the relationship, but maybe take a little bit of a step back. Because I see this a lot, especially I would say with younger people under the age of like 30 or so, kind of like, I want to be part of the group. And they're kind of thinking about things differently, but they don't want to be outside of the group. So it's kind of like, I want everybody to agree with me, but then I want to be on my own. And it doesn't always work that way. It can be a little bit crazy. And I will tell you that more than anything, this kind of Aries energy comes in with some very fascinating stuff. A lot of people are kind of stepping out into health and beauty. And we're already seeing that on like so many reels and so many videos and YouTubers and all that kind of stuff, talking about like getting in shape and doing this and eating right and all those kind of things. But they're looking at it from a different way. Like, everybody's always told us to do this or not to eat this, and now you can eat it. And so it's kind of like that new age of thinking like, oh, they've found new ways to deal with this, or new ways to kind of bring this in. And I will tell you that a lot of times with Jupiter in the sign of Aries, you're going to be seeing people kind of thinking about a lot of things differently, which will bring up a lot of head things. Because if we're kind of thinking about things differently, we may have some anger that we learned it this way. We may have some anger or some kind of like, I learned this all wrong. Why did my family or my religion teach me things that are incorrect? This can kind of bring up some different signs for us. Now, I will tell you, kind of one of the big ones is we have Jupiter making a semi-square to Uranus, and this is all about suggesting that we may feel a little restless and kind of ready for some changes, and that's going to kind of push us into kind of wanting some different changes. This comes in late March, kind of around the 19th or so, kind of pushing us to make these changes. And we're going to have to answer that call of like, hey, what do I want to make differently? How do I want to do this differently? Kind of the next one is we're going to have a semi-square. Jupiter is making a semi-square to Saturn, and this really brings up some changes, some kind of big changes in what's coming up, and ready to confront some obstacles that we've always kind of faced but then back down from. And this is a great time to kind of really push that energy of like, I'm ready to make some changes. Now, a really, really big one for most people is on March 12th. We have Jupiter in conjunction in the sign of Aries, conjunct Chiron. And Chiron is kind of like our wounded healer, the things that we didn't get over either in this life or in a past life. And that's going to be bringing up more of that past life connection for a lot of people. And this will encourage us to kind of increase our understanding and our awareness of the world around us and kind of what do we really, really think, and kind of questioning ourselves. Like, what are we thinking about this? This is going to be really dealing with a lot of personal demons of kind of like, why did I think that way? But Chiron's that perfect energy to kind of bring in a lot of healing, a lot of new understandings, and a new way of thinking for us. This is a great aspect for us. So know this is kind of coming up some changes for us in March. So let's do some angel cards. Let me get these going and rocking and rolling. This one's popping out first, and this one's transits, and this is all about the climate. It's right now. This March is going to have some amazing changes for us, some amazing energy for us, and ready to kind of make some new changes for ourselves. These two are kind of popping out. This one is progressions, and this is our journey. Our journey is right now. Jupiter in a sign of Aries is making this journey happen, and it's one of those, it's kind of the cool part about it. Now the next one is the 8th house, and this is kind of the mystery, and kind of the fun part about this one is like, we don't know what the changes are going to be. How are we going to turn out on the other side? It's not like going through a car wash. We already know it's going to come out clean on the other side. We have to make that journey, and what changes are you willing to make? What are the changes that you're willing to kind of really step into in your life? What are those changes that may come in a very interesting way, not only for you, but for other people as well, as you kind of make those changes. The next one is going into the future. Once we start really looking at the past, the future kind of becomes clear, because so many times we really kind of think like, wow, this is where I was and where would I want to be in the future. And a lot of times, like, people aren't really thinking like, when you change the past, when you heal from something from the past, it kind of slingshots you into the future to kind of make some new decisions and some new choices for yourself. This is Pluto. This is the rebirth. This is that rebirth, that new challenge for you. What is the new things that you're ready to walk into? What are the new things that you're really, really ready to kind of amplify in your life and rebirth in some way? Changes are all around us, and it's up to you to want to make that decision. I thank you so much for joining me today, and I know that we'll be talking again soon.